Andrew Platek to North Carolina in 2017. Clint Jackson covers UNC for Rivals.com and joins us here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 The Team. Clint, Roger Weiland in Albany, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. We have followed Andrew Platek's career in high school. Then he made the decision to go to prep school. We knew he was pretty good at Guilderland High School. I didn't know that he was going to end up being North Carolina good and become so well recruited by so many major Division I schools. But let's talk about Platek to UNC and what kind of fit do you think he will be in the Roy Williams program, Clint?
Well, I'm a big fan of Andrews. I've been watching him play in the summer for Albany City Rock here for a couple of years, and I think, let's call it what it is. He's a weapon. Is he going to be a top 50 rated national guy? He's probably not. Most of the gurus don't tend to rank, specialists that high, but he's a guy who I see as a 4-year program player at UNC, a piece of the puzzle, and I think the fit, and as far as what UNC is trying to do schematically, I think he can be a weapon if you put him with the right pieces.
Have you seen, watching him play, and I've not seen him like you have, how much has his game improved?
Well, I don't ever want to say that, he's going to be a star going to the basket or a ferocious athlete or even a tremendous ball handler. I think what he is a weapon, and he's maximized what he does really well. He's a dangerous shooter. Everybody on the EYBL circuit knows he's a guy to watch. So, when you watch these other teams from different states get ready to match up with Albany City, you can hear them in the huddle saying, watch him, he can shoot, watch him. So they're chasing him around screens, they're closing out on him, and what that does for a team like a North Carolina, they get these guys that come in, these 5-star combo guards and athletes and, back to the basket big men. When you put him on the floor with guys like that, it just makes everything work so much better. So I do think he's gotten better over this year. He's solid. He's 6'3". He's got a good release. He knows what he is and he knows what he isn't. And I think those guys are important when you look at playing college basketball. What
kind of fit could he be, say, even early on, would you think, Clint, when he goes there in 2017, one more year of prep, and then 2017, could he be an early contributor, you say, in his freshman year, or you think it's going to be a slow process?
I'm still kind of torn there. Obviously he's going to have some guys in front of him, maybe at the guard position, but, it's going to be up to him. I think he's a confident guy every time I talk to him, and he says, I believe I can play at the highest level. So he's very smart. He's very confident. He knows what he does well. I think, probably would see him in an off-the-bench role early on. If a team goes zone or, a team is packing in the defense and they need somebody to make them pay from the perimeter, I could see Coach Williams maybe using him in that scenario. But I think he's going to be a guy who grows with you. And, by the time he's a junior or a senior, I could see him pushing maybe for starters minutes.
North Carolina is a team that really struggled behind the arc this year, Clint. I mean, one of the worst teams nationally. Marcus Page, we know he really went through his struggles shooting the ball this year from deep as well. Is this something that Roy Williams and his staff really decided we need to attack this need of ours in recruiting, and that's why you're seeing Andrew Platek being gone after so hard by the Tar Heels?
Obviously, I can't speak for Coach Williams, and he probably wouldn't like me to, but I think, there's been a lot of crying on the message boards over the past 4 or 5 years. No matter what UNC message board you go to, when they lose games to schools like Butler, when they lose games to schools like Northern Iowa, you see the fans on the board saying, well, why can't we get a guy like that? We need a guy like that. He's never going to be rated in the top 50, but, man, those types of guys kill us. We don't have those guys. Well, here's your guy. Here is Andrew Platek is that guy who plays for Davidson. He is that guy that plays for Butler. He is that guy that comes off the bench for Indiana and, goes 5 of 7 from the arc. So I think that it was a need that UNC needed to address. Obviously, if you look at the analytics and you look at the numbers, they need some people who can shoot threes, and he's that guy.
What have you seen, and when we're talking with Clint Jackson, covers UNC for Rivals.com, our big local story breaking yesterday as Andrew Platek commits to going to the ACC, playing for Roy Williams at North Carolina. What have you seen from him defensively?
Defensively?
Yeah. Platek.
Yeah, actually, I think he's a good defender. Does he have the quick twitch fiber that some other guys have? He probably doesn't. But I think he knows that, and he plays really disciplined defense. He's not a guy who gambles. He's a guy who embraces playing the other team's 2 or 3 the top scoring options. He plays it smart. He's good about the angles, and I think sometimes some freshman guards may struggle to pick up Coach Williams' system. I think because he is so intelligent, he is so confident, he is so driven, I think he's going to pick up on things pretty quick. He's not a defensive liability.
The other question I had for you is, what does this say, Clint? You follow it very closely, and you've watched a lot of players over the many years. What's this say about a young man like Platek making the decision to go to prep school and get a couple of years there? How big of a difference is it for most players who decide to go the prep school route?
Well, I mean, I think it's always good, especially when you're up in New England, you're playing the level of competition that he is. It's going to give you more exposure. It's going to give you time to work on things. I think it's just a really smart move.
Clint, locally here in the Capital Region, and I know you follow the Southern Tier, Southern Tier colleges, but locally we have players in the last couple of years, from Jimmer Fredette to now Joe Cremo, who stars at UAlbany, and then Kevin Herter, who you and I have talked about before, and Andrew Platek, and soon we've got another one coming down the pike in Hamir Wright, who's a big man who's got a lot of Division I offers. Do you think that the Northeast is starting to get more respect nationally on the recruiting circuit?
Absolutely. I think you see guys like you just named that are, playing for these big programs and having breakout years, and, still remains to see what happens with Herter, but I'm a big fan of Kevin Herter. I've always liked him. And, just every success story opens up more doors for the guys behind him.
Clint, we appreciate a few minutes. Our top local story on the Big Board Sports this morning here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Thanks for coming on for a few minutes, and we'll talk to you down the road.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.